Well, welcome folks, I'm on board, and today's video, and it's going to be a series video actually. It's going to be a part one of three, and we're talking about my electronics and what I use on board. As you probably can see, I'm using Raymarine. I've got a Raymarine setup complete throughout, which obviously talks to one another, interacts to one another, and it's all good stuff. I'm going to do part one about the Raymarine multifunctional display unit, which is here. Part two, I should talk about the radar and how I use it and some tips as well. And part three will be about my autopilot, which you can see on the steering wheel. I've got the steering wheel type. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's talk about the multifunction display unit. So first off, it's a cover, a nice rubber cover, keeps it nice and protected. Today is a little bit of sun, as you can see, and it's on the screen as well. So it's a good protection cover. It's made of rubber, nice and easy, and it's easy to get off and on. Not like the old plastic ones. They can sometimes be a bit of a pain in the ass to get off, to be fair. But I do like the rubber one. Really nice, that is. It fits around it nice. And it's a little bit of flexiness in it as well. So it's a matter of just turning it on, and we'll get into it. So I have the Raymarine ES97 series. It's a 9-inch screen, and it's perfect for what I need for my fishing and boat experience. So let's get into it. So first off, let's push the power button, which is the right hand side, and it will start its loading in of its data, which takes probably around about 30 seconds, somewhere around that, I suppose. Like any normal computer would do, it takes a little bit of time to boot in, and we'll get there in a minute. A nice display from Raymarine, real nice and bright. As you can see, the operating system is Lighthouse 3. And there we go, there's our screen. It gives you a prompt to accept the navigational info on the above, and you just press OK. It is a touch screen and a button unit, which I quite prefer when you're going along, especially in some rough weather. Touching a touch screen can be a bit all over the place actually, and you end up pressing the wrong thing you requested. So I tend to go to the buttons, which it makes it a lot easier to push and function the unit. So first off, you'll notice at the very top there's an icon called Skipper. This unit allows you to have different people on board with different settings. So let's press Skipper, and you'll notice that I've got Skipper there and Guest. So Guest, obviously if you have a guest on board, maybe a guest skipper, they can set up this Raymarine system for their requirements and how they like to navigate. I've just left mine on Skipper. So we'll get rid of that function. Particularly good probably if you got different skippers, or maybe on a charter boat, or maybe a sailing boat with different skippers on board. And you got the option for multifunctions there with the screen view. So you got the map on the left hand side, radar, and different settings. You can have just fish finder, you can have map and radar. So let's get into the chart. Press the icon and it will load in. I'm sorry if you're seeing a bit of flickering on the screen. It's difficult to get rid of that. And so you can see the map, you can see my boat, and all the different functions within the screen. On the left hand side here, I have my auto pilot display on the screen. I'm just going to get rid of that. That's now gone. The way I've got this configured is I have my course at the very bottom in true mode. I have my speed in knots at the very bottom on the right hand side, and I have the depth in feet on the top right hand side. And that's how I like to have it for my map setup for me. You can configure those to however you like. You can move them around the screen, whatever suits you best, and I'll show you that a bit later on. On the top right hand corner you have your menu settings, which you can allow to, first off, the very top one is go, which is go to where for a waypoint or nautical mark you want to go to. You can create new, so let's just press that. So it allows you to press the new for a new waypoint, a new route, or start a new track, or a search pattern if you so need to. Maybe there's a man overboard or something like that and you need to set up a search pattern. So X that, back to the map. We'll go back to the menu again. Again, waypoints and tracks if you so wish. So let's just click on that. You have the waypoints there, so if you click on there, you'll see all my waypoints that are configured into different files and groups. So I don't have to look through multiple waypoints. I'll put them into groups and files, which makes my life a lot easier. I managed to do the Sea Angling Classic in 2022, and I set up the boundary on there. So that's my file for that. If we go back, so you can go just back function, and you go back function again if you so wish. And then you got targets. So press targets. So targets are for your radar targets, AIS targets, whatever you so wish. Let's go back, and then you got your simple map, a detailed map, a fishing chart map, and tides. Oh, I've just pressed tides. So let's talk about that. So this system allows you to look at the tides in as now and in the future. So you can press the play button like so, and that's now playing, and you'll see there that the arrow is moving with the tidal flow and speed. So if you've got a particular fishing market you want to go to, then you can see what the speed of the tidal direction is going to be and give you some idea of when the good times and the bad times to fish there are. And you know your marks, you know when they're good to fish and what tides they're to fish. So that's a little help there to plan your day out. So we'll pause that and we will go back to detailed chart. So let's go and look at a different style of setup. So if we go to chart and radar next, and there we go. There's a chart on the left hand side and my radar on the right hand side. So it's just a question of, it's off at the moment. We're going to press the transmit. And there we go. And we're in the harbour at the moment, so you would expect a lot of clutter, and certainly have. We're in the range of 1/4 mile, and the ring's at the very bottom, 1/8 of a nautical mile on the green. So you can set different parameters up, but we'll talk about that in part 2. Let's go back to the home screen again. So let's just go through the different functions. So the different sort of combos you can have. And you've got audio, video, and chart and video. So if you've got the Raymarine cameras on board, you can use those and see where you go. And especially very good, those cameras for night vision, where you've got, like me, I have a channel that I have to navigate that's very dark. The buoys are not lit up. There are numerous boats within the channel areas, so it can be difficult navigation, but the camera certainly would make life a lot easier, and well worth recommending if that's what's for you. Back to the chart. Icons at the very top there are a fish icon and the radar icon. So they're telling me that they're working. The top very left hand corner is my coordinates. And the bottom there, you've got different setups as well. You've got your data, your man overboard function, your alarms, and you can set up. So if we just press my data, so that tells me my data is my waypoints, my routes, my tracks, my fuel. If you so wish, if you've got electronic setups that you can set up to this Raymarine and interlink with it, that's all good stuff. I don't. I have a diesel that's not electronic, so we're not able to do that. So let's go back to there, and we go to man overboard. There we are, and there we go, man overboard. Obviously, you're very important if you've got man overboard, so it gives you the bearing, position, and all the details you need to locate that person. So we're going to get rid of that. Oh, press OK, sorry. Get rid of that. Oh, no, we don't want to know. Sure. No. Okay. Right. Okay, let's do alarms. So that's active alarm, history, and you got your settings there for your alarms. Let's go back and go to settings. And as you can see, that gives me the ES97 series and what version I am using, map. It gives me the boat details. You can change those all over to configure the boat details. Got my boat name in it, the type of boat, and then that's all the stuff that you can use for when you're linking into your engine data as well, and your fuel units. As you expect, you can change your units. So I've got nautical miles as units, speed is in knots, depth is in feet. And it's entirely up to you, whatever you feel comfortable with for displaying your unit type. Display, all different types of displays you can set up. You can have helm 1, shared brightness, external keypads, and at the very Wi-Fi sharing. I'm sharing it at the moment. Autopilot, again, that allows me to set up the autopilot. And network, and the different types of versions and stuff I've got on board. So my quantum radar, my version, and my autopilot details, my course computer, my ACU, and my control head for the autopilot. So let's go back. Let's go back to the let's go back to chart. And there's my chart. Let's push it there. There we go. And there we are. There's the map. So let's move that depth there, shall we? So we click there. We go to the very settings. We go to page settings. We go edit data overlay. This is where it gives you the option to do your overlay data. Currently I have 4 overlay datas, which is the maximum I can do at present on this unit. So if I press that, that allows me to move it. So if I can press move, I can move it anywhere I like around the screen. I can resize. I'm at medium at the moment. I can press to large and also delete. So let's delete it. And we're going to, yes, we definitely want to delete it. Now we possibly could add something. And there's all your different options that are added. You've got GPS, position, time, depth, water temp, cursor position, all manner of stuff you can put in there that suits your needs. And Raymarine really have made a long list there which you can use for your own requirements. Let's put the depth back in. Press the depth, hit his position jet over here. I'm going to press it to move and move it back to where we were like, and there it is, 6.2 foot at the moment. So we press done. Once we're done, I'm happy with that. Press done and we're back to where we want to be. Now, all importantly, when using navigation and particularly finding fishing marks, it's all about how far you got zoomed in on your map. So currently we're at 1,000 foot, and there is a little bar across there that gives you some reference to what 1,000 foot is on that map. You can either press the plus or the minus button, or you can twiddle the knob round to enlarge. So there we are. That's where I am. I'm now at 25 foot. So that is pretty small detail to be with 25 foot. That is real good accuracy. That's exactly what you want, especially when you're finding little reefy marks maybe, or a particular area on a wreck you want to be. And I will explain this shortly when we go out on the boat, and I'll demonstrate in how to put a track line on, set a drift up for anchoring a wreck, and certainly for when you want to find like a little reefy mark. That is so important that you have it zoomed in far as you can pretty much get it, or what you're comfortable with, because if you see my boat there now, I'm between 2 pontoons. If I zoom back out, that boat looks a lot bigger in the map. So when you're trying finding a particular mark, you really can't get the detail you need. So you could be hundreds of feet off. So it's very important that you have it zoomed right in to really fine tune where you want to be. There's many other functions within in this set that are for all types of users, whether you're a sailor, a fishing charterman, or a recreational angler. There's so many different functions on it, and it really does cater for many people. And I certainly like the Raymarine setup. They have an outstanding backup service or troubleshooting service, and so much so that when I first had my Raymarine kit, I was having a little bit of trouble with my autopilot and my multifunction display unit and getting it fine-tuned in. Nothing too serious, it's just me being the user probably. Raymarine, I phoned them up and they actually guided me through what I needed to do while I was on the boat, and they walked me through it, and I was so impressed with that. And that's what it's all about sometimes, is finding a unit and electronics that are fit for your requirements, but also have a great backup for aftermarket service, because there will be times when you need a little bit of help maybe, or you're not too sure, and Raymarine certainly do that for me. And for me, they're local as well, which is really handy as well. So that's why, one of the reasons why I went for kit. It meets all my requirements, the backup service is great, and they are local. So let's get out on the boat, let's go and use it in anger and see what we can do. Well, I've now left my berth. I'm transiting through the fairway to the harbour entrance, and you can see the port and starboard markers quite clearly in daytime, which is really great. But there will be times when you come home in the dark or reduced visibility, and you may need to use your GPS. Now, this is where I say about it is key to getting the right zoom in, because if you look at the boat now, it's not the boat really takes over the whole fairway, to be fair. So let's zoom in so we get a clearer picture. I'm sorry about the movement of the camera, I'm freestyling at the moment. So let's zoom in, I'm turning the button, so we are now 200 foot, which is a lot better, but we can do better than that. So look at the difference that makes by zooming into 25 foot. I can safely see where the dredge channel is as I come out. There's the marker, boys. And there's the map. And you can see that there's the marker post. I'm just going past it. There's the next two. And you'll see them come up very shortly on the map. Bearing in mind we're only 25 foot. The white line at the bottom between the plus and the minus, that determines the 25 foot compared to the chart. Should be showing the chart, the posts very shortly, and there it is. There's the port side and there's the starboard side. And it just shows you, doesn't it, that actually the marker posts are not exactly in the channel either, and I know that anyway. But there we go, and there's the out towards the harbour. Now let's go and show another mark and show you how to do some track lines. Well, what I've done is I've put a fishing mark on the chart to demonstrate how important it is to have your zoom at the right level for when you want to fine-tune your positioning over your fishing mark. I am at 1,000 foot at the moment in regards to my zoom in. Now I am going to put the boat exactly where I think the fishing mark is, and then we'll prove the point by zooming in to 25 foot to see how close I really am. So let's try that right now. So I'm going to turn the boat around. And would you believe it, there's a boat coming, so I can't do that. So we'll come back round again, let the boat pass, and then we'll get on our fishing mark. The map's, I'm slowly going round, so is the map. It's a bright sunny day. Right, let's head towards our fishing mark now. And we're not far away from it. Put the boat into neutral, and we're pretty much over that mark. We're slightly to the right, not by much. Now let's zoom in 25 foot, see where we are. Zoom the right way first, shall we? So we are 95 foot out. So 95 foot difference by zooming in for that fine tuning. So it does prove the point. 95 foot is not a big distance, I agree, but it can make all the difference when you're trying to anchor a wreck. Let's zoom out, and there we go again. Puts me back over again, see? Right, what we're going to do next is we are going to change the map setup from what I have at the moment, which is head up, to north up. And I'm going to show you what the difference is when you're trying to find a wreck and how the map performs. And that's why north up is always better when wreck fishing and trying to find a mark and fine tune it. So let's do that. Motor over to the navigational post, and then we're going to pretend that is a wreck, the navigational post, and we're going to fine tune it. Hopefully you can start seeing the post in the distance. Just doing a slow, steady speed of 4.4 to 4.3 knots. Zoom right in now. soon completely into 25 foot. I'm at 100 foot. There's the post. There it is on the map. Now I'm going to go round the post and you watch the map spin. Especially when you're trying to fine tune. Hoping that the sun's not going to skew the viewing. I'm right near the post and I'm going to spin hard round now. Put a bit of speed on it as well. There's the post. So the map's constantly going round and round and round. Trying to correct itself. So it does take a little bit of time when you've got it on course up or head up. You're spinning round and round and round. And when you're trying to fine tune it, yeah, it can be a bit of a pain because you're waiting for the computer screen to set itself up. Now let's do the similar thing with Norfolk. The screen is now showing a Norfolk direction. There's the post. The screen will always stay at the top of the screen. So again, we're going to do exactly the same. We're going to go round the post. Oh. And I'm going to spin round the post now. You'll notice the screen is a lot more steadier. The boat turns, but the screen stays. I'm doing a hard turn round. Notice how noticeably different it is on the chart when you spin rounds in a 360. The chart stays very well, the chart is steady and the boat turns instead of the whole chart. So that's why it's a lot more better for fine tuning, particularly over wrecks. There we go. Hope that's some useful tip there. Now let's go and see how we would position the boat and the drift as if we're going to anchor a wreck or potentially drift a wreck. I'll show you the mark that we're going to use as our pretend wreck. Well, we've arrived at our pretend wreck. There it is on the screen. I've plotted it. Now let's set up a drift. The current is coming out, so I've got to allow for that, and I've got to allow for the westerly wind. I'm going to go in probably a northeast direction, as the tide will counteract the wind, and hopefully we can set up the drift near on perfect. Sometimes it takes several attempts, and this is why we have to put a track line on to see what our drift rate and direction is. I'm going to leave it at that going to bring the boat to a still. And then I'm going to press the cursor, start a track line, and go OK. And let's see how we drift. I'm going to zoom slightly in to 20, what are we at, 50 foot? Let's say 50 foot. I'm going to center the boat. And let's see how we drift. Now, at the top of the boat you can see a purple line, which is our drift direction. There's our mark at the bottom of the screen. There's our pretend wreck there. There it is on the screen. So, by the look of this, we're just going to miss this. There it is. So we've missed the wreck slightly, but it's a good sign of the direction we have to get to for our start mark again. So let's try that again. We're going to go up the line, but we're going to move slightly over, because we know now that line there is the drift of the boat. We go straight up the line, and we're going to move slightly over to the starboard side. Coming slightly over. I don't go too much. I'm going to start slowing the boat now. Put it into reverse just to position the boat, to stop the boat. Right, now let's see how we drift now. I've gone slightly forward, slightly starboard of our original first track line. Let's see if we now hit the target. Boat's turning. Going slightly backwards at the moment. The boat's not turned. I'll give you a quick show of where the tin wreck is. So it's literally just behind us. target here at the moment. I can't get too close to our pretend wreck because obviously I'll hit it, and it is a floating pontoon, but it gives you some idea. So we're not going to be too far off that wreck. So let's just zoom into another 25 foot. There we go. Look at that. Bang over it.
So this is Navy helicopter.
There we go. Now you know that now is your drift line you have to take. So let's position a cursor over the start of that drift line. Place waypoint. Okay. Now position the boat. Let's come back up. Let's take the track line off. Stop track. I'm going to delete it. Yes. Now that top mark there is always going to be your start position. It will change because wind and tide will change in direction and strength, so you will have to readjust. There we go. So I'm in 50 foot sorry at the moment. So I'm going to position the boat again. So that's where your start mark is. You know now that you start from that start mark, you will drift over your wreck. The drift line that we created earlier is also the line you want to take if you was anchoring. That start mark would be pretending how far away and how deep the wreck was, would be that place to put the anchor in, because if you put the anchor in at that mark at the top, it's very likely that you will anchor in the position of the wreck as you require. I hope that makes sense. If not, ping me a comment on what your thoughts are about it, and it's this is just a little bit guidance on how to really, and I hope that helps some of you for positioning your boat over a wreck, the drifting over a wreck, and using it to navigate to your fishing marks. Well folks, I hope that helped you have a little bit of an understanding of multifunction display units. Obviously I've got the Raymarine, there's various other makes out there, clearly there is, and you best choosing the one that's best suits you and your budget. And hopefully that was a small demonstration of what can be done on a Raymarine unit, and especially what can be done to help improve your fishing marks, getting onto your fishing marks, and obviously improving your fishing. And that's what it's all about sometimes, is getting on the mark. It really can make the difference, and the matter of feet does make the difference. So that was part one. Any comments, always appreciated. I advise that if you do buy a unit, before you put it on the boat, take it home, power it up, and do it in the comfort of your own armchair, and press a few buttons and have a play about with it, so you get really au fait with it. You know, there's no good being out on the scene and trying to understand it. You need to understand it straight away, really, to be fair, and get used to using it. And yeah, what more can I say, really? That was part one. Part two will be my radar. I'll be showing you all about the radar that I use and how useful it is. And part three will be my autopilot and how that's used and set up. hope it's helped you guys and girls. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up. Any comments welcome. And don't forget, all importantly, to subscribe. It's free, remember, it is free. And what's in free in life? Not a lot. Put lines, everyone. See you soon.